crowd with regards to the gauge on Klopp at the moment? Because everyone loves him because obviously the way he is and his character, but are people starting to question him?
Yes, they are. Liverpool fans as well are questioning. They are sort of saying, as we're all saying, that the same mistakes keep happening week in, week out. If different mistakes happen, you could understand it, you know, now he's got to do a bit of work on that. But I did some analysis on the Manchester City game. The two centre-backs, every time someone had time on the ball, were trying to hold a line and people were running in between them. It happened again against Newcastle.
He's I say not in denial, but he's trying to find a way to say, no, you know, we have got good defence. You haven't. You have. I mean, I don't think Matip's a great defender, but he's the best one they've got. Well, unfortunately, he can't find a partner to put next to him that they can work together. As Robbo said, that first goal, was it Aguero scored?
Aguero scored one straight past of De Bruyne.
And then the one in Newcastle at the weekend.
And there was another one in that Man City game when Aguero and Jesus go in against the goalkeeper, 2v1 against the goalkeeper, and Jesus just passes it square, I think it was.
It's almost like the two centre-backs don't realise that somebody running through the middle of you when you're squeezing high up without any pressure ain't a problem.
Is it a case where he knows what the problems are? He knows that he needs to bring in a player or two, or maybe he made a bad decision on a player or two. And the last thing he wants to do at this stage, knowing he doesn't have the opportunity to bring somebody new in.
You have to work harder in training. If you can't bring in a player, which he can't do now, and the same mistakes keep happening, it means you're not doing enough work on it in training. After that Man City game, he should have been on the training field saying, right, players get time, let's work at our defensive side of the game. You have to back off. You have to defend the space. But I think he's got an attitude that everything has to be pressing, everything has to be high up the field, hold a high line. It's not working.
But it's not that this has been thrown on them.
No.
It's not as if there's three centre-halves have gone down with an ACL rupture and all of a sudden he's down to the bare bones. What the hell was Klopp or the scouts or the director of football or whatever Liverpool have, the committee, which I've heard they have, what the hell were they doing in the summer? Because they've sat and watched this movie for 12 months. Klopp's been in there 18 months.
They made a terrible decision on Van Dijk, didn't they?
Well, they put all their eggs in that Van Dijk.
They kept on going after him and after him. And it was obvious in the end he wasn't going to come to Liverpool.
United and Liverpool played out what, on the face of it, appeared an entertaining 1-1 draw. But Stevie, a point gain for Jurgen Klopp, or are you still left a little dissatisfied?
Absolutely, 2 points drops, no question. Same old, same old. Listen, Liverpool actually in this game were not as good going forward as they normally are. At the same time, that's the problem that Klopp has. I've been banging the drum about coaching, but I think at the end of the day, they don't have the personnel that are able to do the job, and that ain't changing at the very least until the next window in January.
So what about Newcastle then? They come into this one with a mindset of trying to have a go, and they'll be fairly pleased with what they were able to do in the game.
Newcastle's not that great a team. You know, what they have to rely on is good decisions defensively, good shape, closing the ball down properly. It's all the defensive side of the game that they have to rely on, because going forward they're pretty blunt. Even the goal that Hosselu scored was, well, it was a deflection off, pick one up.
OK, a couple of weeks then with the international break for Liverpool to prepare for Manchester United. You think they'll have a real go at them? You think there'll be a different set of circumstances? They'll be able to hold it together defensively in that regard?
Listen, the bigger games in the Premier League in particular in the past, defensively, they've actually coped pretty well. I'm expecting the same again. You know, they've always upped their game under Klopp when it's come to playing against the top four. I'm sure that'll happen again. Listen, there's always a mistake at any stage ready to happen with that Liverpool back line. It's a question of, can they keep it together for once, for 90 minutes? That's the question. The question that I can give you the answer to is, they will attack, they will go forward, and it'll be entertaining.
OK, we'll see how they get on. Obviously, a little way to go before that happens. At the moment, Liverpool just outside the top six with that draw on goal difference. Behind the surprise package, Burnley.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the Ultimate 11. Gab, Mariner and Nickel all putting their heads together, and this turned out to be their Ultimate Team of the Week. Gab Marcotti, are you happy with it? Did any of your players not make the Ultimate 11?
Yeah, no, not all my guys made the Ultimate 11. I didn't have Fernandinho in there. I thought it was such a collective City effort, frankly, that to single out Fernandinho. Also had a nasty challenge, I thought. I did have I had Stones in there instead of instead of Otamendi. Again, 6 of one half dozen another. I didn't have Tarkowski either. No disrespect. I didn't have Ederson. Again, I just didn't think that
he didn't do anything.
Chelsea
Did he?
really did enough to trouble him.
Who did you have, Gab? Which goalkeeper did anything this weekend?
I went for Peter Cech. I think it was really one save, but a big one. I think at that time in the game, it could have potentially turned it. I don't think there's much in it, but you'll be pleased to know that I agree with the front guys. I think I had De Bruyne deeper, and I found space for Richarlison, who got a last-minute equaliser, which is absolutely huge for Watford, and I think is showing that was money well spent.
Yeah, indeed. Robbo?
Yeah, I would agree with most of those things that we saw there.
Would you ever have an Ederson S tattoo? On your neck, so you could get it all over.
I mean, there's plenty of space.
I'm not sure it would really look right on me.
Do you have any ink anywhere, Robbo?
No, I don't. No, funnily enough. Do you?
No, Shaka does. I've seen Shaka's ink.
Oh, hello.
That would be horrible.
There's another guy can say to that.
Ali?
No, I don't have any tattoos. No, I do not.
Would you have anything to say about the team of the week?
No, it's Gab was.
Ederson is an interesting addition.
No, by the way, Gab seemed to be bothered about the fact that so many of his guys were not in it.
Well,
it's a little controversy because usually he's the one pulling the strings in this team.
I thought he'd be the manager of those.
Well, he is. He is.
Steve
You know how much
Nichols,
power
man.
he's got in the editorial aspect of this?
Shaka, I felt you haven't spoken in this segment.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Good.
Anything you'd like to say?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I believe the Premier League continues to be as exciting as it's ever been.
Really?
Yes, without question. And the trouble is, I'm not sure what people are looking for in terms of their excitement. Is it a nail-biting end to the season? I'm not sure that necessarily determines
Perhaps the
how good a
quality.
season. Well, the quality has never really been there. Well, I'm not saying never, but the quality hasn't been there for quite some time, and that showed itself in how poor the Premier League clubs have fared in the Champions League. That's not different. That hasn't changed. But you know, you look at this season, and I love what Chelsea have done. Chelsea had their dip in form around December. They had their personnel issues, which Conte somehow managed to contain and effectively come out the other side. And I thought that was a testament to Conte. But I'm not sure people want to see this kind of thing spill out and play itself out on the back pages, which I don't think is good for the game. Now, you're not going to see a situation like we had last season with Leicester of all people winning the title, which I
Hard
think
to top that fairy
kept
tale.
people's interest. But then the season before that, Chelsea won. I thought Chelsea were very boring themselves second half of the season. Then the season before that was kind of characterized by the Steven Gerrard slip. Again, that's not what makes a season. You have to look at the length and breadth of it. I don't think a whole lot's changed in terms of the excitement from beginning to end or in terms of the quality from beginning to end. Chelsea have just been that much better. Now, you don't have two clubs as you do in Spain or three clubs who are just that far better, that much better than everybody else, that it keeps that little focus, that title fight as tight as it is, as we're seeing in Spain right now. But not a lot has changed. I'm not sure why people are suggesting otherwise.
All right, well, the verdict's still out there, but for Shaka Hislop and myself, I agree that the Premier League is indeed far from boring.
Kane rank amongst the best strikers in the world? Give us your top 10. Alex, we'll start with you.
Well, I have a top 2 or 3 with Luis Suarez, Lewandowski, and Gonzalo Higuain that I think are untouchable when it comes to the out-and-out strikers in the world. Now, when he goes from 4 to around 7 or 8, I think those guys are interchangeable. Harry Kane has moved up in that list and continues to move up in that list. When you think Cavani, Agüero, Griezmann, Aubameyang, these guys are scoring goals at a nice clip. Diego Costa is a guy that you just hate to play against. And I included, just for Stevie Nicol, Romelu Lukaku.
Did you include it for Stevie or just so you could say it like that?
Well, that's an honor of Stevie Nicol. That's all I'm saying.
Brian, this is your top 10.
And I agree with you with the number 10, Romelu Lukaku. I think he's upped his game, his ability to bring players in, hold the ball up. And I view this more as the number 9 side of things. Lewandowski, I think, is the best out-and-out number 9 center forward, hold-up play, brings in his teammates, an incredible goal scorer. Of course, Luis Suarez, we all know his capabilities and running off of players and getting in the right spots, and also bringing other players in with the assists. Diego Costa, I think, you see a guy that has the ability to take players on one-on-one, score goals, and for me, the rest of that sort of comes through. I think Ibrahimovic doesn't get the credit, even though he's older. I think the impact he has, he deserves to be in this top 10 at 6.
Brian, you've got Kane at 4. Ale, you had him at 6. Paul, I thought you'd have had him top 1 or 2.
No, I'm waiting. I'm looking at. I asked myself a question. If I was a gaffer, who would I want to be as my number 9? There's no doubt in my mind it would be Suarez. I think Higuaín has done an absolutely sensational job at Juventus. Lewandowski, 30-odd goals this season, cannot stop scoring. My favourite striker in the Premier League is Aguero. I'm just in awe of this guy. He's had a bit of a down year, but he's still got 20-odd goals. Diego Costa has dropped to 6 for me because of the baggage that he brings to the team. I just get a little bit concerned about him, and I'm giving credit to Ibra. I think Ibra he really surprised me this season for what he did. What Dzeko did for Roma in Serie A was unbelievable. So, you know, you can argue about it until you're blue in the face.
One quality control issue here. Neither of you two put Edinson Cavani in your top 10. Almost 50 goals this season. Across all comps, 49 and 49 for PSG. No top 10 for this guy? Ale had him, what, at 4?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, you put him on a team that can provide service, he's going to be awesome. You put him in a situation where he needs to create for himself, that's where I think he has some issues.
Wait a minute.
He's not.
Lukaku or Cavani?
I'm telling you throw the ball up to Cavani, he doesn't hold the ball as well as Lukaku. I'm not saying if you need a guy to score goals, and you know that you're going to provide provide service. No, because the number 9 has to do more than just get in the penalty area and score goals.
Cavani is a much better finisher than Lukaku.
Oh, for sure. I agree.
And it's a much better finisher than Dzeko. So if it's about scoring goals,
Obviously,
Cavani would be my guy.
This season was the question. Have you seen the goals that Dzeko has scored this season for Roma? Unbelievable. His return. When they signed him, I questioned it.
Okay.
But this season, I've been in awe of what he's done, the big fella.
I think Cavani is underappreciated. When Zlatan Ibrahimovic was scoring all the goals for PSG, well, it's Zlatan. Then Zlatan left, and now Cavani scoring all those goals. Well, it's just because it's PSG and St. League One. So it's always a reason as to why Cavani is not the guy, and yet he continues to score goals across Europe.
Of course, it feels not too cool now, you can imagine. I played a lot of times with different teams in my life really bad and got a point. And after that, actually, it feels like you won a point. But you know you have a real problem because you have to play better next game, because otherwise you will not get a point whenever. So, and we do it the other way around. We are the better team again. We create more chances again. We are in very promising situations, and then we don't score. That's of course a problem, but will not stay like this. I know I'm long enough around football that I know there will be one day when the knot opens, and then maybe we'll score more times than one time. That's pretty likely. I'm not interested in the criticism. I'm more interested in the thoughts of the people. So if pundits, journalists, whatever, criticize us, that should not have any effect. That's kind of the job. That's normal. If there are a few teams, they are obviously flying. So does it mean the other teams should not try to fly also as well? So it's or do we all have to give up and say, oh, they're so good this year? Oh my God, I really want to have a season ticket for Manchester, whichever stadium. Or is it allowed that we really still try to sort our things and to improve? With all the problems we had so far, we have 11 points. So think what could happen if we sort our problem. I have no problem with criticism. I have only problem with if people think we cannot sort our things. So that's all what I want to, but I still want to that the people know we are really working hard, and we are not. It's not like we lost our football knowledge overnight. But the only thing we can do is really to work on our football and at what we are doing. And so, not perfect so far, but the past already. So let's try to make it better in the next game.
A new era in football. Stevie Nicol is joining me. Stevie, times are changing. The FA could be approving some bans for players who have been diving, at least in English football. Here's what we're looking at. If approved by 3/4 of the 1,100 FA shareholders, 3-man panels will review footage from the weekend each Monday, and any player unanimously found to have cheated can expect a ban. And we're talking about a 2-game suspension, Stevie. Is this the way forward?
Absolutely. Listen, I'm very much all about tradition. I'm not a guy that likes the FA or anybody else to start playing with the rules. But this one, I think, is fantastic. This has been a long time coming. For too long, players have been getting away with this. But as always, I think the most important thing here is the panel. It's what the panel's made up of. I believe it's going to be a referee,
Ex-referee, ex-player, and I think an ex-manager as well.
Right, which I think is fantastic. I think that's a good, diverse look at things, and I'm sure they'll get it right.
All right, well, certain people probably don't agree with you, and a certain person is Sam Allardyce. He's actually called this utter rubbish and says that he's more in favor of, say, sin bins. So players that are accused of diving, take them off for a bit, put them in the sin bin for about 10 minutes, and then bring them back on. Do you not think that's a better way to deal with it?
Who's talking utter rubbish now?
You're saying Big Sam's talking rubbish.
I mean, you talk about an absolute radical change, because that's what using the sin bin would be. It would be a radical change. As far as diving, there's not one person I've ever spoken to, professional or otherwise, who likes it, who agrees with it. I've not spoken to one person who doesn't hate it. And how are we going to get rid of it? A sin bin? Yeah, right.
Well, how much do you think it will really and truly help? Because when these things happen retrospectively, I mean, the game would have already passed. The 3 points would have already been awarded. If it was a penalty, a cup could have been won, a team could have been relegated, a team could have been promoted. So
you can pick the boat. You can always pick some sort of mistake in whatever rule that's been made. The bottom line for this is that when a player ends up getting suspended for a period of time for diving, if I'm his coach, I'm going to point the finger straight at him and say, right, you're going to cost us by not playing the next 2 games, as it is in this particular case.
And 2 games is enough for you?
I would be more than happy to have it 3.
Wow.
I think it's something we have to get rid of.
All right. So Stevie Nicol has no messing around for diving, and I agree with him. No room for cheaters, especially. We've seen too many mistakes in football, and we need to get them done.
Correct.